Welcome back to the show, everybody. I have an amazing guest today. You may have seen him on Instagram, killing it on his pizza journey, doing his thing from pretzels to pizza. I have Drew Butler from Market Pizza by Drew. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hi, Drew. I'm doing amazing. I'm so excited to be here. Let's do it.
Let's go. I'm just going to tell everyone that Drew has listened to a number of episodes, so he knows what's coming next. There's no right or wrong answer. What's good, dough?
Well, what's good dough to me is making $1,400 on a Saturday vending pretzels. Obviously, that question is not always related to the money in life, but if we are getting into the business, then the money and what it adds up to is important. Basically my third or fourth pretzel vend out. I used to vend pretzels at the breweries. I did a huge Oktoberfest event at a popular brewery in San Diego, and I sold pretzels for 10 hours straight. Small pretzels, jumbo 11-ounce pretzels, 6 cases of pretzels, just pretzels. And it was awesome. It allowed me to figure out what the business was capable of. The guy that I bought the cart from, pointed out to me that basically in that one day I paid for my equipment. The cart was $1,000. So I paid for my business asset from that point. And, it's good. It's good to have those big days where you go, man, this could really be something.
Yeah. I mean, I love how you took that answer because literally when you're making dough, it could be taken as I'm making pizza dough or I'm making money. And I love talking about money. Let's stay on this topic for a bit. I like how you talked about how you look at it as you make some money, you pay off the business. And that way, next time you make more money, it kind of becomes more profit, right? And when I did one of my first catering events, I didn't take a lot home after all expenses, but the way I looked at it was I got the experience down and I got some brand new tables. I got some catering materials. That way for my next event, I'm going to be raking in a little bit more cash.
Yeah, you invested in your business. And the way I look at a lot of that is sometimes if you're not making money and putting it in your pocket, you're making money by learning things. You have to pay for those lessons, right? So even if you come away on a gig and like I always used to joke that if I have enough money to pay for breakfast the next morning, then I had a successful event. Because let's face it, when you're starting something new, there's going to be probably quite a few gigs where no, you're losing money. So if you're losing money, how do you reconcile that? How do you balance those books? Well, you're paying for your own lessons. For me, those lessons were about food cost. When I would take the pretzels out of the freezer, that's when the clock started on the product. I had 2 weeks until that product had to be used. I would constantly be throwing pretzels out and it just killed me. And I was like, man, I have to figure out how I'm not going to be continuing to waste product and manage product better. And I think one of those things is managing expectations. We always want to think, oh yeah, we're going to go here and we're going to sell X. We always want to forecast what the sales are going to be. And we probably have no idea what they're going to be until you've done it a lot of times. So, for me to think, oh yeah, if I can just go to the breweries and I can sell 100 pretzels and, that's $400. What if you can only sell like 35 pretzels? What if you go to Indie Brewing Company downtown on a Sunday and it's windy as AF and you sell 13 pretzels in 4 hours? I mean, it's going to happen. I got skunked at lunch on Friday at the shop. I sold 0 pizzas at the shop on Friday for lunch. And I'm like, what is going on? Now, sometimes I think those lessons, you take them to heart and they're really hard to hit and it's hard to find, the good side in it. And I worried 0 about Friday because me and my partner, Anita, we par baked like 20 pizzas. So I got to gauge how much time it takes us to get some par bakes in. Plus what I want to do ultimately is start taking some of those par bakes on the road back to the breweries. So again, we had an opportunity. We weren't busy with the normal grind making pizzas. We had a chance to do something that, sometimes we don't have the chance because we're too much in the weeds and in the grind of, making it all happen.
I like what you said there. Even though you didn't sell any pizzas, you used that time to help grow your business in another way. And that's kind of what it's like to be a business owner is like, if it doesn't meet your expectation, find another path forward and keep the wheels rolling. At the end of the day, though, if you go into vending food like a business, you have to be profitable some way. And it's sounding to me, well, it's obvious because you're no longer slanging pretzels. When did you know, hey, maybe it's time for a change?
It was during the pandemic. I think it was when we were all readjusting everything we knew. I heard it from somewhere that like the pandemic like shifted our axes, right? So all of us were no longer spinning in the same way with our lives, that our lives literally kind of took a little shift over. And what did that mean for everybody? Obviously, the pandemic for everybody meant that, they could focus on something else. Obviously, you created the podcast during the pandemic. That's how you utilized your time and grew yourself. I was already making sourdough bread before the pandemic, so I didn't jump into it like a lot of people did because the sourdough bread thing was very popular. But I did lose my job because of COVID.
And by job, you mean the pretzels?
No, well, the pretzels certainly shut down. I was a teacher. I was an athletic coach. And yeah, I walked in getting ready for one of the school years. This was kind of after the first lockdown, so this would have been the second school year. And I walked in, I was getting ready to, get my stuff ready for the year. And my boss called me in and said, "We don't have a program for you this year." And I was like, "Oh, wow." I didn't see that coming. And I took it really hard because I gave everything I had to that school that year. That was my first year at that time. And I had this mentality that I was going to give this job everything I had, because sometimes in life, I'm not giving it everything I have. I got a little bit in reserves, right? So I said, man, I'm going to give it everything I had. So I did. And then, man, you get pushed to the sidelines after you did that. Like, what kind of lesson is that in life? Well, it's a lesson in life, I believe, that comes later in the thinking process. And there was two different thoughts that I had related to getting laid off. And one was, oh man, I gave that job everything I had. Like, what is the universe giving me if I do that and then I get booted? Well, what I realized is that gave me the opportunity to realize in my bones and my soul what it's like to give everything. Transferred to Market Pizza. Trust me, I'm doing my best to give everything I can to this little pizza shop. So again, like that experience of giving it all wasn't wasted. It was just waiting for a new opportunity to blossom. And then the same thing about that was like, it was hard. I applied for a couple other jobs for the next school year and had some interviews, and it just didn't pan through. And one of the things I was so like apprehensive about was, as a PE teacher, I have to learn all the kids' names in the school. 400 names, right? Other teachers, they got to learn 30 kids, right? Me, I had to learn 400 names. And I was just like, oh my gosh, do I got to go to another school and go through that same thing of learning all those names? Because I'm sure you know what it's like learning names. Like, we all have a little bit of anxiety about it. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not good with names. Well, I had to be good with names. And I was walking one morning, probably after a podcast or probably listening to yours. And I said, oh my gosh, I know what it's all about now. I'm not going to some other school and learning 400 names. Now I get to go to Market Pizza and I get to learn those customer names. And, as I said, like sometimes the lessons, the answer doesn't come to you while you're, going through them. Right? You're in the middle of it. You're in the fog. You're in the forest, and you can't see what's outside of it. And then, I guess hopefully at the right time, at the right place, it finally dawns on you like what all this is, why you're here.
I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Uni Pizza Ovens, Coro Olive Oil, Our Town Direct Mail, and Central Milling. Yo, yo, yo. This podcast is sponsored by Cordo Olive Oil. Real talk, you are using the wrong oil at home if you're not using Cordo. Why? Commodity oil is just not good on your mouth. I have done the test myself. You're not using fresh oil if you're not using Cordo. Olive oil is supposed to be freshly squeezed, picked at their peak. And that's what Cordo Olive Oil does. A lot of other olive oil companies are not doing that. And the taste is just night and day. You don't want to be incorporating that nasty oil in your dough or drizzling it on top, using it in salads, cooking with it. No. If you want to try out Cordo Olive Oil yourself and see the difference, if you're a pizza maker, you get a free tasting. Hop on that, use the link in the show notes. If you're a home pizza maker, you can still sign up for the tasting at a nominal fee. Or if you're just ready to make that purchase for Cordo Olive Oil, use the link in the show notes. It is our affiliate link. I appreciate you for doing that. Get the box. Trust me, it's going to last you for a very long time, and it's going to stay so fresh. I did the comparisons. It's amazing to see how long that thing lasted me and how fresh it stayed. Link to all that will be in the show notes. I appreciate you for using the link. But you were still doing pretzels at the time, right?
Well, Pretzels was a weekend thing. And, during COVID, no, there was no Pretzels. Pretzels was over.
So pretzels and teaching was just...
Everything was gone. The breweries, in California, just like a lot of other things, like, breweries couldn't even do takeout. It's all about the tap room business for the vending, and the tap rooms were closed. Most of these guys could barely even, be doing to-go sales. Everything stopped. I had basically, 3 ventures that were potential moneymakers, and all of them kind of came to an end. So yeah, it was a matter of, shifting gears quickly. I knew that the pretzels had to grow into something else. The pizza thing seemed to be the most obvious for me because it was something that I was germane to. I've been a big beer guy. I've been a brewer for 20 some years. Thought one day maybe I would try to open a brewery. So the cool thing about Pretzels was it allowed me to get into the tap rooms and kind of be, side by side with, all my brewer companions and homeboys and all that. Beer, pretzels, repeat was kind of my hashtag for the pretzels because beer and pretzels go well together. Well, what's maybe one thing that goes better than pretzels? It's pizza. So now it's beer, pizza, repeat. And obviously the breweries, when they get in vendors, pizza's, got to be one of the highest ones, most sought after. So the whole idea was learn how to bake on the portable ovens and then take the show on the road again. It's funny because through listening to your show, I always heard about, the struggles that people have with the pop-ups and the setup and the do this and do that. And I was like, you got to get your start somewhere. So even if it's not the ideal setup, you got to go out there, you got to get your name out there, you got to practice your craft. So I was fully prepared to do that. But what happened with me was I was doing fundraisers in the neighborhood. I wasn't selling pizzas like someone had suggested. 100% sales were donated to my son's high school football team. So I did that for about 10 weeks, on and off, had great response. For half of that time, I was still baking pizzas inside because that's what I was used to. But again, the whole point was, well, you have to get good on the portable ovens. So you have to take these pizzas out on the street and start baking. And so I did. And finally, a couple neighbors said, I don't know if you know, but Jackson Market, a very popular neighborhood market down the street, literally a block and a half away from me, said they have a pizza oven in the back and no one's using it. Now, lo and behold, I didn't even know this place had a back, but it has a very cool back. It's a total garden patio. It's got fountains. It's got fish ponds. It's got trees. So it is a super chillax place to, after you order your sandwich from the market, you go back there and chill out in the garden patio. It's a big garden patio too. There must be room for 50, 60, 70, 80 people back there, a bunch of tables. So sure enough, I go down there, I see the oven. It's a Forno Classico wood-burning oven. I mean, it's like one of the ovens that I've been looking at on Instagram going, well, one day maybe one of these things. So yeah, sure enough, they had a pizza chef at one point, but lost the pizza chef. One of the ladies got pregnant, and then I think COVID also shut down that outdoor business as well. So they had a beautiful oven that nobody was using. I talked to the owner, and I started baking pizzas there about a week and a half later. And the funny thing is that I had never baked on a wood-burning oven. I'd done a couple rock box bakes, but other than that, it was like, I know how to make pizza. I know how to make a fire. Let's build one and let's make some pizzas. And it's been great ever since.
That's awesome. We can definitely talk about your partnership there and maybe even describe the space a little bit more. I think when I visited you, just to give the audience a bit of perspective, the market is like a neighborhood market. It's an upscale liquor store without offending the place. They serve food. They have very typical healthy LA, like I'm trying to be fit. It's in Culver City. It's in a beautiful city. It's very Southern California. But like, again, if you don't have one of these in your neighborhood, you're just thinking a beautiful ass liquor store, but it's a small market, right? And then you go into the very back and it's this oasis of a place. Very cool, very inviting and friendly. I think though, the one thing there is that, like you said earlier, people don't know about that backside. How are you getting people to try your pizza?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's probably what I should be asking myself every day if I really want to grow the business faster. There's a lot of customers. Well, here's what a third of the customers say. They'll come back there for the first time and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know any of this was back here. So let's say you're a regular market customer, which I wouldn't say I was a regular market customer, but it's in the neighborhood. We'd go in there and buy some bread. They have eggs if you need it. There's beer, there's wine, there's salads, right? But I had never been in the back because this is all the way in the back. So imagine a house, because the market probably at one point used to be a house and was converted in like 1925 into this little neighborhood market. So you go in and, there's some coffee there. It's very popular for coffee in the morning. They also serve breakfast. And then you got a sandwich counter, which, they do Boar's Head meat products. So the sandwiches are really good. They get some really good fresh, French bread. So their sandwiches are delicious. And then there's a couple cold boxes and refrigerators where there's a bunch of sodas and waters and beer. And then on one side, they also have a bunch of pantry items, right? If you need some peanut butter, the market will have some peanut butter and all those little type of things where, you don't want to go to the grocery store and you can just go down to the market. So anyway, other times people come out and then they see the one section, but I'm actually located next door at the property next door to the market, which is another apartment building, like a fourplex that they've converted it into Airbnbs. So I'm in a residential portion of the property. And again, if you come around and turn the corner, then you see the pizza oven. Sometimes people have been to the back, but they haven't even been over to where the pizza oven is. So I have a lot of discussions with people about like signage, and like customers will say, oh, you should get a sign. I say lovingly and teasingly and in good spirit, you mean like that one that's right in front of the store? Like I have my hours and the menu on a pizza peel right by the door as you walk in, right? So that's one sign. And then I do have an A-frame that's out in the front, but depending on where you're coming in, if you're coming out from the curb or maybe from the other side of the street, maybe you see it, maybe you don't. And my takeaway from this is, yeah, I can tease and we can have fun and I can say, oh yeah, there's 3 signs out there. But what's the takeaway? The takeaway is my signage sucks. I need to get better signage. And I did put up a very nice sign. You probably saw the sign that I have now posted above the counter where I have my ordering. And I got 3 or 4 of those. And I had one of those right in front of the window up front. And then they took it down one day to clean, and then they put it down. And so then by the time they put it down where it was, you couldn't even see it because there's a bunch of plants in front of it. So I probably need to go ahead and throw another one of those up. I have 2 more. They're sitting in my garage. What are those doing for you, Drew? Like, get them up, get them out there. Like, the other thing I was joking around with people about is, like, they're going to miss them all unless it's one of those, inflatable things doing this, like, pizza, pizza, pizza. And as I said, that's none of my customers' faults. That's 100% on me. I need to be doing more to make sure the minute you walk in that store, there is pizza there. I thought about getting one of those cool neon signs because right now, none of my signage is getting me the results I have. It's silly because Sunday for brunch, I've been trying to do like a pizza sandwich that I saw at Expo. I think it was Nicole Bean that did that workshop. And so I did the sandwich, and then on an orange Post-it note on my menu, I was like, brunch sandwich. And like a couple people this week came back on Sunday and said, hey, what's up with that brunch sandwich? So you just never know what's going to catch people's attention. But the bottom line is you better catch their attention somehow. And if that doesn't work, catch it some other way. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about that, because catching attention means a couple of different things. Before we continue with the show, I just want to remind folks that this podcast is sponsored by Uni Pizza Ovens. Right now is the time to be in pizza. And the reason why it's so popular, it's getting a lot of attention, is because pizza has been democratized by companies like Uni. Now you can have a pizza oven in your home affordably. You can get the Unicoda 16 if you want to go gas. You can go the Unicaru 16 if you want to go multi-fuel. And now you can have an electric oven on your kitchen countertop, all of those ovens that you want, and take them on the go. It's so amazingly convenient. You can cook high quality, high heat, beautiful pizzas of your dreams. today thanks to Uni Pizza Ovens. There's a link in the show notes if you want to purchase your Uni Pizza Oven, whether it be ovens or just the materials that you need to make pizza. Use the link in the show notes. I greatly appreciate it. It's our affiliate link. Thank you for using it. If I had to make just a general guess on this specific scenario, only because I've been there, I can see two things. One, you play the side of it being super secret, like a secret pizza location. Like, shh, don't tell, by the way, this is Culver City's best pizza secret, right? And then you get a bunch of influencers to like hype it up. The second thing is to be in your neighbor's face. And I don't know if you heard the podcast with Christina Martin yet. It just came out recently as we're recording this, but she was literally just dropping flyers in front of people's mailbox. She then moved on to doing some direct mail, and that kind of stuff works too. So I see it like, I mean, the good thing is you have so many potential customers in that neighborhood. I think what people don't understand listening to this podcast is you're literally smack dab in the middle of a bunch of houses, and those are your potential customers. I don't know. What are your thoughts about those?
Well, I did listen to that podcast this morning, both on my walk and when I made dough this morning. And, you know, she is so right. And she set herself up with that ability, right? Because she says she doesn't like to be behind the counter. It's like, you know, Mike from Mike's Hot Honey said, and that is, you got to be out. You got to be out, right? And for a business owner, you know, lots of times you're getting trapped doing the work, but you need to staff up so that you can go grow your business. You know, I'm a people person. I used to be in real estate. The way I did my business in real estate was knock, knock, knock on doors. I'd be out there for an hour and a half a day doing things the old school way, knocking on doors and talking to people. I have no problems in doing that. Have I done it for this business? Not yet. Drew, why not?
Well, Drew, I mean, you have a small team. You're still building it. And so I understand why. And maybe that's when you leverage certain services or technology. I'm not trying to give you a bunch of advice here that's unsolicited. I'm just trying to help bring you ideas and let me know what works, man. I'm excited. I really love the spot. And I think it's super, super, super underrated. And I would just love for more people to come try your pizza because it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, right now I'm open 4 days a week, Thursday through Sunday. I sold out on Sunday, which I'm not liking to do anymore. I kind of gave myself a new outlook on that, and that was I was going to have a no sellout policy so that if somebody comes in and I'm still working and cleaning up, or if somebody calls, I'll say, hey, I got a no sellout policy. I'll give you 20% off the next time you come in, because you don't want to disappoint those people. I saw it 2 weeks ago when I sold out. I mean, the bottom line is I have a small operation. I'm making dough once a day for 3 or 4 days a week. That's going to have to go up. I'm going to have to go out and get a new speed rack to actually be able to, you know, have more capacity for dough. Hey, these are all great problems to have. I'm hoping to open up maybe on Wednesday nights. I'm hoping to find a night to do some kind of more special intimate evenings of, you know, some tasting menu type of stuff. If you're catching me right in the middle of what it took me now 8 months to build. My arrangement with the market, you know, the market wanting to be selling a certain amount of pizzas so they could be making a certain amount of money. I finally hit that last month. I'm going to hit it again this month. For when the weather is nice, the pizza place is going to be exceedingly busy. I guess on Saturday when I wasn't there, so 2 stories here. So Friday and Saturday, I left the shop to my son and my employee, Anita. And this is the first time I've like been away. You know, sometimes maybe I'm leaving people there, but if you need me, I can come down and, you know, save the day or add some help, right? But no, I was out of town, and Saturday I got like 3 calls from my son for like really minor stuff, and then it was like so quiet, and they had a huge day. That's why I sold out Saturday. That's why I sold out Sunday.
That's a secret.
Hey, you know what?
That's a secret.
I might be leaving town more often. Anyway, it's a matter now of, you know, I probably need, I'm kind of waiting for the end of school so I can pick up maybe a high school kid or 2, because I can't leverage myself when I'm making pizzas, right? So getting back to the point of marketing, yeah, I would love, I mean, because there's nothing more I want to talk about than product. You know, want to be out there telling people about, you know, the pizza I'm making, and, you know, trying to find different ways to invite people in. You know, every time I listen to the show, there's always something that you're like, you know, why are you not doing this? Like, you thought about it, but why aren't you doing it? Like for me, like I sampled pizzas from like the very first couple of weeks, but then I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to sample as much because I want people buying the pizzas. But just, you've talked about it and you know where it comes from, influence and, giving things away and reciprocity. And I'm like, well, you listen to it, you have the lesson, you think it's a good idea, and now you're not following through on it.
Why do we do that to ourselves?
I don't know. Like I always say, so I usually go out to dinner after Saturday night, and then I'm like, well, why am I not taking people pizzas where I'm going out to eat, right? There's a burger place that I like in West LA, and I'm like, I love those guys. I need to take them my pizza. It's not even so much that I'm trying to get the business from them. It's that I'm giving them that which I make, which equals love. So I'm just giving them my love when I give pizza. Like, hey, Drew, what's wrong with sharing it all? Like, what are you holding back from? Why are you like reluctant to share the gift that you have? So anyway, it's just a matter of being conscious about it. When I leave that shop on a Friday or Saturday night, I should be taking 2 pizzas to someplace. Or while I'm taking a lunch break, take a couple pizzas to somebody. Why are you not taking a couple pizzas to somebody once a day, or if that's too much, then at least once or twice a week? Why am I not doing that, Idriff?
I think that's going to work because I just started a new role doing catering and events for a pizzeria, just so I can learn more about the business side and basically growing a customer base, doing mid to high ticket sales because they charge a lot for events. And part of me started off giving $30 coupons to apartments and hotel concierges. And guess what? None of them are taking. Like, I'm giving you $30 to go claim a free pizza. None of them. So stay tuned. I may be doing the same thing. And if a free pizza leads to the business that I want to see happen, shoot, that's the answer. I don't know if giving away a free pizza is going to work. It worked for Serge. He got new customers indirectly. He gave the free pizza. You know what I'm talking about, right? Serge from Pan Fresno. He gave the free pizza. The businesses shared it, and then he got customers that way. So, dude, reciprocity, influence, yes. I like to think it'll all just come back to you one way or another.
I think that's the good way of looking at it, is that it's going to come back to you one way or another. And it might not come back to you the way you want it, meaning like, oh, yeah, I gave some pizza to a cool hamburger spot. Wouldn't that be cool if they uploaded it on their Instagram? Like, could happen, right? No, like, what if you just did it out of the pureness of your heart, knowing that it's going to come back to you one way or another, meaning like you did good, so then something good can happen to you. And it doesn't have to be in business. It can be something else in life. It could be like you avoided an accident that you could have gotten in, but life is, returning the favor. And then the one thing you said about the coupon is, I think one of those things has value and one of those things is that has no value, right? A coupon is a piece of paper, right? People may or may not use it. Whereas a pizza is something that they're going to eat, they're going to like, they're going to remember it, they're going to be thankful. And again, it doesn't have to turn into a sale. It doesn't have to turn into a customer. It's just you putting good mojo out in the world that, it's going to spread ethereally and not linearly. And maybe they say something like, oh yeah, man, this dude from Culver City just brought in some pizza. I got a good story about that. You want to hear it?
Yeah, please. Picture this. A new family moves into your community. What does that mean for your business? Potential new customer. What's a better way to welcome them than a fresh, hot pizza? And you can do that with Our Town America. Here's how it works. Our Town America will send them a coupon for a free pizza or whatever offer of your choice. That way, they know who you are and they think amazingly of you. My previous podcast guest, Christina Martin, uses the same strategy and gets so many new customers because of it. If you want to learn more, talk to Susan from Our Town America. Her number is 480-678-1366. Let her know Idriff from What's Good Dough sent you. That way you can get set up a special introductory offer. Again, that's Susan from Our Town America, 480-678-1366. Thank you for supporting me and my sponsors.
All right, so this goes into a couple things, and one of them is my service mentality, which is one of my 2 core principles. One core principle being amazing pizza, the second core principle being amazing service. So there was a swing because, hey man, there's fountains, there's koi pods, and there's swings in the back of this place. And I was talking to a customer at the front of the counter, and I tell a lot of people that I am trying to operate behind the counter like I expected other people to operate when I was on the other side of the counter, meaning the person that's ordering, meaning the customer of a business, right? That I want great food, I want decent, customer service. I want a manager to ask me before I leave how everything was, right? So I'm talking to this guy about this and, kind of sharing my philosophy. And there's some guy in the swing that says to me after I talk to this person, he's like, oh man, that was so great what you said. Like that's such a great way to operate. That's such a great philosophy, right? And he said, it's my birthday today. I'm like, we don't know where to go. And I'm thinking about coming back here for pizza. And I said, yeah, of course, come back here for pizza. It happened to be that this guy worked in the industry. He works for a Pizzeria L'Antica di Michele, the big one in Naples, who's now expanding, in the U.S. He opened the L.A. store. They have a New York store. And so anyway, he was one of the, managers.
What's his name?
His name is Gianpaolo, GP. He's a fantastic guy. Like all those, great-natured Italians, you just can't communicate with these people without a smile on your face. So he came back for dinner. He brought about 5 friends. They ordered 3 pizzas. And then when it came time to pay, I'm like, no, these are on me. You're in the industry. It's an industry comp, right? So anyway, months later, I finally got a chance to go visit him at the pizza place. And we first sat down at the bar, and the bartender was great. He was giving us some samples. Gianpaolo was not there that night. We asked the doorman, he said, nope, Gianpaolo's not here tonight. Oh, okay, anyway, we're going to go in for some cocktails. So we have a cocktail, we have some calamari, and then I see at the end of the bar, it's Gianpaolo. So went down and, reacquainted ourselves because I didn't tell him I was coming. So it was kind of out of the blue. We ended up sitting down at a table. Their place in Hollywood is very similar to our place. Meaning they have this garden patio that is just total vibes, just beautiful trees and open sky, and the pizza oven is there, glass, closed kitchen. So we sit down and, we have a pizza, we have a fish course. Paul, the manager, ends up, giving us a tasting of 5 wines so we can navigate the new Italian wine list. They had 6 little tasting desserts that every single one of them was just like the best dessert you've ever had. Gianpaolo left at that point, and we get the bill. Paul comes over, the bartender, and I'm looking at the bill, and like, I am pissed. I'm pissed off because they have taken every single thing off of the bill, and on the bill it says, like, with love, amici, right, with love, right? So they had comped every single thing, and I was like, this is not, that like, a free pizza, that's one thing, but to take care of the whole thing. So I told Paul, I was like, Gianpaolo didn't have to do this. And he said he didn't do it. I was like, what? He's like, I comped your bill. Well, why did you comp the bill? And he said, because Gianpaolo told me the story of when you comped him for his birthday. So because I comped him for his birthday, because he was in the industry, this guy took that and served it right back up. Then I liked the story. I wasn't pissed any longer. I was like, yes, what comes around goes around.
I love that. You just never know. You never know, right? And this was like more of a direct, like, I give and I get, even though it wasn't the most direct, but it was somewhat still directly related. But you just never know what will come out of the good juju that you put out there. If anything doesn't come out of it, when you do good, you just feel good, right? And so just even take that for the win. Go out there and give more.
Go out there and give more. And in our case, give more pizza.
Hell yeah. Let's talk about the pizza. You had mentioned that you had to learn how to cook on a wood-fired oven. Maybe talk about what kind of pizza you're making and how you managed to learn. Any mistakes, anything, any highlights or insights that you want to share that helped you figure it all out and kick ASS on your oven?
Yeah, so my new word from Expo is contemporario, right? So this is Neapolitan
Yes.
Contemporary, right? I was calling it Neapolitan because I'm not doing Neapolitan pizzas. My dough is nowhere near a Neapolitan pizza. My dough is, basically Tony's Neapolitan recipe, which I've turned into my own by using 3 different flours and using both a pre-fermented poolish and a sourdough starter. I guess the basis for this question and the start of all of it is my dough. My dough is my signature. My dough is mine and mine only. I take great pride in it. All the rest of the ingredients are accessible to everyone else. So, it all starts with the dough. As far as baking in the oven is concerned.
Wait, real quick. Why use a sourdough and a poolish, which I'm sensing that the poolish has some sort of manufactured yeast, right? Either IDY or fresh yeast or active.
Yes. It's interesting because I know all this lingo gets thrown around a lot. And I used to think that a levain was purely, sourdough starter, and that poolish and biga were made with commercial yeast. I think I could be actually, instead of using commercial yeast, I could probably propagate my poolish with my sourdough starter, which would be really cool. I like using commercial yeast because it's reliable, it's measurable, it's consistent, and that consistency to me is the most important thing. So why am I using both? I'm using the poolish because Tony said to use the poolish, so of course I'm going to follow Tony's advice. And then the sourdough starter because I've been a baker for a long time. Ken Forker's book, Salt, Flour, Water, Yeast, or whatever the order of those is, really changed the home bread baking game. So I made a sourdough starter from his recommendation in that book. I've had it now for 4 or 5, 6 years. It's very healthy right now. And it's my signature, right? You know, that's me. That's the only thing else that nobody can recreate. Like, even if I give you my sourdough, like, you're going to do something else with it, and then it's going to transform. So that's why I'm using the sourdough. It's for complexity. It's not for leavening, but it's my signature taste.
I like that. I agree. Using some sort of poolish with commercial yeast is going to be more predictable. I have done sourdough only large bakes, and it's kind of stressful because I'm not practicing every day. That said, it is doable. It really just depends on how you want your final product to be and if you can find a way to manage it. Cool. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, I love my dough. I love my dough because it works well under so many different conditions. For instance, my dough performs really well straight out of the fridge. Straight out of the fridge. No, like, have the thing out for like 45 minutes and have it stretch. My dough stretches pretty well because I bulk for 24 hours and then I ball for 24 hours. And then sometimes there might be a day or two in between there catching up on the service where, maybe my dough's been sitting around for 4 days. So it's already kind of loosened itself up. Back to the point of, how did I learn on the wood-fired oven and, that kind of stuff. Like, obviously, it's been trial by fire. I've watched a couple videos. I mean, literally the day before I went in, I was like, okay, well, I know how to build a fire, but how do I build a fire inside the wood-burning oven? Setting a fire, that's no challenge, but keeping the fire set is a challenge. You got to keep the proper temperature for both the ambient temperature above and the deck temperature. And so, over the course of the last 10 months, it's been a huge learning curve. And when I first started out, I was baking pizzas at about 700 degrees. At one point, I was doing everything by myself so that while I've got a pizza in the oven, I'm making the next 2 pizzas. And if I'm burning at 800 or 900 degrees and I forget that there's a pizza in the oven because I'm concentrating on topping the one in front of me, which happens almost every single time because I concentrate on what's in front of me, not what's behind me in the oven. At 800 or 900 degrees, those pizzas would be gone. Right. But now, as I've gotten more help and now that I don't know if I can do more at the same time or if I'm just ready for the challenge. Like, I love the way the pizzas bake between 800 and 900 degrees. You get a big poof right off the bat. The leoparding probably is enhanced a little bit. I think that's the temperature that the pizzas want to be baked at. So then it's a matter of, can my skills match what the pizza needs? And for the first few months, I wouldn't get the oven very hot. I didn't need to. The business wasn't as quick. But now on a Friday and Saturday night, when you're quoting 50-minute wait times, like, no, man, you need to get those pizzas in and out in under 2 minutes. Not like 3.5 minutes because it's comfortable. Like, make a pizza. Let's go.
Oh, interesting. I like that. I love that insight. As we start to wrap up here, I want to save a little bit of time for the final 2 questions. And I just want to congratulate you first on getting to where you're at, man. From Pretzels to losing your job to doing charity work through pizza to now running your own spot and building your team. It's so fun to watch the pizza journey, and I'm invested and I hope to see you kill it moving forward, man.
Thanks, Idrif. I'm really trying to take that in like 1,000% because I don't think there's been enough time for me to sit here and reflect and be like, oh, you're doing good.
Give yourself a pat on the back. What is one mistake in pizza business or life that people can avoid?
Yeah, my first answer to this was related to kind of the time that it takes us to get into something. And, we could either get into something after too long a wait, maybe by doing a bunch of research, or maybe we jump into something too soon And maybe we should have done a little bit more research. Maybe we should have done a little bit more practicing, right? So the ultimate answer to that was you have to find the middle ground there. You can't wait too long, but you have to, put in the work in general. But as I've been thinking about this question, I think a big mistake is how we value ourselves. And I have repeatedly not shot for the moon in stuff because I haven't felt myself worthy. There's been a lot of circumstances, like as a coach, I would always be the coach that volunteered last because nobody else did. I should have been the coach volunteering first because I had more than what the other guys did. Now, I'm not getting conceited there. I'm just saying I know there's good coaches out there and bad coaches out there, and I'm a good coach. But if I don't get myself in the game because of what I value, then I'm not doing anybody any good. One more point as far as that valuing yourself. I play small ball, bro. I'm playing small ball right now in that little tiny market with that little tiny kitchen. I'm ready to grow this thing into something bigger. When I was in real estate, I did leases for a big apartment building down on Venice Beach, right on the boardwalk. And these apartments were this big. It used to be a hotel. And so I was the leasing manager for the smallest apartments in Venice, right? And then they sold that building. And they didn't use me as the real estate agent because I wasn't acting like a real estate agent that should be doing a deal worth a $200,000 commission. I always went to the neighborhoods where there was the smaller homes and worked those smaller neighborhoods because I didn't feel like I was the guy that was worth doing the houses for $2 million, for $4 million. So I think one of the mistakes people make in life is that they don't realize their own value. At least that's one mistake that I don't play anymore, at least not full time. I'm ready for something much bigger.
If someone wants to avoid that same mistake, right, without going through the hardship that you went through, what is something that the listener can think about or do in their lives today to say, I got this, I know my value, or I know now because I listened to Drew?
Yeah, it's about going out there and listening to others, reading others, the podcast thing, there's so many people out there with uplifting messages. There's so many books out there with, the theme of you can do this because somebody else did it. Like, how different are we really? And yes, we come from different backgrounds. I didn't have a dad, right? I never knew my father. So that was a huge thing of my value because I didn't think that I had value, so my dad didn't stick around, right? That was some hard stuff to be telling yourself, right? It took me a very long time to get that stuff out of my head, right? So again, back to your question is, you got to be filling your head, your heart with good messages, and you got to do it on the regular so that stuff seeps in, and then you can finally live it. Because it's not going to do any good to like get the message and then put it down and then not walk around with it. So I'm trying nowadays, and again, that's why I said I had to take in your comment about what I'm doing in my business right now, is because I'm doing good and I'm ready to level up from here and do even better because I am capable, period.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. What do you want to leave with the audience with today? It could be something that we've already discussed, something that you haven't mentioned yet. The floor is yours.
Yeah, my answer to this is dreams don't start tomorrow. If you have a dream, your dream starts today, right? We all want to do things. We all have things that we think we want to do. But when you're truly driven and when there's something that is something that you're undeniable about, you're going to start that thing today. And then you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to repeat it. It goes back similarly to what I said about doing more research and, getting more comfortable. No, don't do research. Get uncomfortable. Step outside your comfort zone. Make it happen. Make it happen. Get off the sidelines, right? Stop thinking about it. Do it. You can do it. I did it. The people that you've interviewed did it, so I was inspired. And then it all comes down to you got to start. You got to start. You got to buy a pretzel cart and go put yourself out there. You got to buy an uni oven and put yourself out there, right? So don't wait. Don't wait until you got the money for the money. If you got a passion and you think that you can go out there and get into this business, don't wait till tomorrow. Do something today.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I am always undervaluing myself. I'm always a little bit less today than before, but I'm always trying to talk myself out of doing stuff. And damn it, I know there are other people out there who do the same thing. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the reminder, and thank you for sharing this knowledge for the people who have never heard it before. Drew, I appreciate you being on. Thank you.
So great, man. So glad to be here.
Well, there you have it. My conversation with Drew. If you loved that conversation, I do want to let you know you have to follow Drew. Links to his show notes on Instagram. Share this episode and tag him. Tag him on your story, post it. I don't care. You know what? I do care. If you love this, build something on Instagram and just talk about a lesson that you learned or shared. Don't have to mention the podcast, but do just speak from the heart and then tag me or him. It would mean the world. If you're not already doing so, please subscribe to the podcast, hit the plus button wherever you're following the podcast. I'd greatly appreciate it. That way you can continue to get the episodes mailing list. This is a new thing that we're doing. Every episode now is going to have a summary, and I'm going to mail it out to the listeners. That way you can decide if the episode is for you without having to invest a bunch of time. Because I know time is limited. I know content is almost unlimited nowadays. It is unlimited. And so I want you to make the best decision when you're investing your time. And so if you want that notification, if you want that weekly summary, go ahead and sign up for the mailing list. Link for that will be in the show notes. Another thing, please leave a rating if you can, if you haven't done so already. I have some good news. We have some more bread mats for Rose Hill Sourdough's product. If you haven't had a chance yet, go ahead and leave a rating for the show, screenshot it, and then either email it to me, link for that in the show notes, or DM me, link for that in the show notes, a copy of that. And I have a number of them. First 5 people to do that will get a free bread mat. Okay? Let's make it happen. Yeah, I appreciate you in advance for doing that. Gosh, after this conversation, I'm thinking about starting a Patreon. Just a quick follow-up of the episode because I have so much to say about that just last episode. And I think we should do it. I think we should do a one-on-one conversation, you, me, just following up on that episode because I have a lot to say. For starters, gosh, when you're a solo business, you have so much more leverage than you think you have. Second, why are we scared to value ourselves? A couple of things. Ego, fear of failure, fear of what other people think, lack of confidence. It's a number of things. And we can get through that. We just have to be willing to fall on our faces. Like off the bat, just go in there and be ready to trip on your face. For example, I went to Pizza City Fest and I messed up so many. Even Pizza Expo, I messed up so many of those videos. Like I have the beautiful camera that I need to capture crispy video. I have the audio, but I'm still learning how to use it. And had I just gone out there and started shooting and get out, as Mike from Mike's Hot Honey would say, or Drew now, and just get out and practice, I would have got it down. But also because I didn't think to practice and I was learning on the spot, like at the end of the day, I got some content. It's not perfect, but hey, the next event that I'm going to is going to be so much better audio wise and visual wise. And you just got to know that you can't be afraid of failure. So that's the kind of stuff that I hope to put in the Patreon. Maybe some lessons, maybe some resources, maybe just some follow-ups, but sign up for the Patreon below. Link to that will be in the show notes. I appreciate you. I love you. Till next time. Peace.